Tony Treuer, you just spoke to LCO today. You gave several presentations. We heard you talk tonight. You gave us Treaty Rights 101, and you also talked about the language. You're fluent in the language. You learned from Archie Mose, and you're a ceremonial leader in the Medewan, in the Round Lake community. What are some of the challenges facing the recovery of the language?
I think probably the biggest challenge is that we need a critical mass of speakers, and we have scatterings, pockets of language revitalization, but it won't be enough until we develop a critical mass. And so we need to convince people of the importance of language. I think once people are convinced of that, then they'll find the ways to make it happen, which they have done in many other places with great success. And I think that's what we need to do. Show our people why the language is important, and then show them the tools that can be used to successfully revitalize it.
Why is the language so important for the expression of Ojibwe spirituality?
The biggest reason is that it's the only language we can use to officiate Medewan, big drum, and traditional funerals. And without the language, we lose the essential tool that we have to do those things. So the language is critically important for that. I feel that it's also critically important for maintaining our culture and our unique worldview. There's a different way of thinking in Anishinaabe, and we lose that way of thinking if we lose our language. Additionally, I really believe that attacking the issues of social dysfunction, community health that are plaguing us, language revitalization is probably the most successful way to revitalize the health of our communities. And we've seen it happen with the Maoris, the Native Hawaiians, some of the other Native communities that have had successful language revitalization efforts. It's also revitalized the health of their communities, and it's also brought the people together in a way that they haven't seen prior to the treaty period.
Give us an example of how the language helps us protect the earth.
Well, language embeds meaning. And for example, the word we have for an old man, Okiwenzi, Oki is earth. And Okiwenzi, like to Gunawaindan, is to look after something. Okiwenzi is literally meaning like an earth caretaker. And built into the language is that sense of wisdom, knowledge, and responsibility. And you don't have to explain that to people if they're thinking and operating in the language. That meaning is built directly into our way of thinking in the language.
The word asin, stone, it's animate. What does that suggest to us about stones, about rocks?
Well, two things. One is, the language is divided into animate and inanimate things, but that division doesn't necessarily denote a different value placed on things. It's more of a linguistic category. However, in the Ojibwe way of thinking, there is a spirit in everything, including in rocks. And we are taught and reinforced in the language a way of thinking about them that's entirely different. We're supposed to respect all things and all beings on this earth, and that's built right into the language and the way that we talk about things, not just the teachings that we talk about in any language.
This is Nick Vanderpye reporting for News from Indian Country on the Lakota Reserve in northwestern Wisconsin. Chi miigwech.
Miigwech.